Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's session is the second in a four-part series about security, and we will be learning about unified endpoint security with Microsoft Defender. My name is Hassam Mohsini. I'm the program manager for Microsoft Reactor in Abu Dhabi. Microsoft Reactors are hubs for founders and developers to meet, learn, and connect to local peers, as well as industry-leading ideas and technology from Microsoft partners and the open source community. It's also the home to the Microsoft for Startups program. Check out our calendar of events on meetup.com to join all our upcoming sessions. So again, today's session is the second in this four-part series where we're exploring the various concepts that will help you learn and implement a successful security architecture for your organization. And in today's session, we will be learning about endpoint security vendors and components in the market, one for AV, EDR, the Endpoint Detection and Response, vulnerability management and scanning, and much more technical terms that I'll probably have Hisham explain them to us more throughout this session. So, excuse me. So today we are continuing this journey, as you know, with Hisham Saad. Hisham is a senior regional cybersecurity technical specialist at Microsoft, focusing on SOC operation and threat management and advanced analytics in SIEM management for over 13 years of IT and security and cybersecurity experience. We're so excited to have you take us through this journey, Hisham, and we continue with you this second part. So I don't want to take long in the introduction. I just would like also to highlight to everyone that you can adjust the playback setting here to select the highest quality to enjoy the best experience during this session and to also keep it a friendly environment for everyone. Keep your questions coming through the session. We will have stops to answer these questions, and we will allocate some time also next week to have a more interactive conversation about what we have been learning so far in this series. That's all for me. Off to you, Hisham.
Thank you, Sam. Allow me to share my screen, please. All right, so let me know, please, Hassam, if you're able to see it.
Yes, all good.
Thanks, Hassam. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our security series for April 2021. Quick introduction. My name is Hisham Saad. I'm part from the cybersecurity solutions team in Microsoft covering Europe and Middle East and Africa. So last session, we presented and demonstrated Microsoft Defender, the extended detection and response, the XDR platform for Microsoft, which is covering multiple workloads, doing correlations, aggregations, integrations for events, alerts, and data across different workloads for identities, endpoint devices, data, infrastructure, applications, and network with the Infra One, and generating for us a high fidelity incident with a high score. And we presented and demonstrated to you live in details a lot of scenarios, how Microsoft Defender and XDR platform will help you to improve your security postures and actually to set your SOC analyst team to prioritize and focus on the high fidelity incidents, avoiding noise, signals, and optimizing and avoiding false positives. And as you can see that the Microsoft Defender XDR that we presented last session is provide you a complete cross-domain protection across the entire stack in your organization, providing an automated self-healing with a set of playbooks that can do automated investigation and incident response and taking an action. In addition to the cross-advanced hunting queries that your SOC team can write across queries and hunting and convert this hunting rules into a detections rules with an actions that can be taken across the identity, across the machines, across the emails, etc. But today, we're gonna deep dive into the endpoint space. And as we all know that endpoints and devices is one of the main core attack vectors and main underlying products. So the question is, how will be able to protect and secure your endpoints, and how Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is a Microsoft unified platform, can provide an end-to-end protections, visibility, and securing your endpoints in your organization. So let's get started. And today I'm going to show you more details about the features and the capabilities. And most importantly, we'll have a live demo covering feature by feature set, showing you the entire set of all of the data and how your SOC team will be able to use Defender for Endpoint solution. But before going to the details, it's really important to highlight and sharing with you what are the feedback that we are getting from multiple enterprise organizations and partners about how it's a bit tough for protecting and securing endpoints, which is not an easy game. There are different criteria. If you look at the right side here, you will be able to see there are different categories related to endpoint security. I'm looking for a solution that's protecting against antivirus or anti-malware or zero-day. I'm looking for a solution for a post-breach to provide an entire triage process using an EDR solution. I'm looking for a solution to detect and having a continuous discovery for vulnerabilities with all of the associated CVEs. And not only to detect a threat and vulnerability, but to manage and to remediate and mitigate such kind of vulnerabilities. So I'm looking for a threat and vulnerability management TVM solution. Or I'm looking for a solution providing like a HEPS, having an IDS and IPS capability, including exploits, including a sandboxing capabilities and detonation, packed by machine learning and AIs in terms to provide a rich set of an indicators of an attacks and IOCs, vulnerability management, as well as application whitelisting and blacklist, in addition to entire forensic engine. So as you can see on the right side, there are different and multiple categories that are related to endpoint. And it might end up that you do have multiple different security solutions and components from different vendors. They are addressing and covering all of these capabilities and categories. And not only from a technical point of view related to the endpoint categories or modules, another aspect is related to personas in your organization. So as you can see that you might have different teams, multiple stakeholders, they are mainly correlated and integrated to protect your endpoint. You have an IT admin people, they are primarily in charge in terms of doing patching, operating system deployments and updates in terms of agents, sensors, definitions, updates, software administrations, integrations, and configuration. You might have a different team in your security as a security admins, and the security admins, they are primarily in charge into the security management, doing an assessment for vulnerabilities, improve the security postures and having a secure score, configurations and right managements. And the analysts and the IR team, who are mainly focusing on the threat monitoring and hunting, doing an incident response and capability and IR, forensic for further investigation and analysis, integration with other security products like a SOAR, ticketing system, ITSM, etc. Plus providing a rich set of feeds and indicators using the threat intelligence. So you can see that you might have different personas or different stakeholders in your organization that you might need in order to have a full visibility and provide a unified and contextual experience protection for your endpoints. And one more thing I would like to share with you, these are the top 10 key challenges that we're hearing from multiple enterprise organizations and partners. How it's a bit tough for them by having multiple security solutions and vendors to cover all of the endpoint categories that I shared with you, or even to address the full alignment and visibility between different personas and different stakeholders within the same organization. And not only these top 10 challenges, we're sharing with you here is the latest Gartner top security and risk trends for 2021. And if you're starting to look at point number 3, one of the key main trends and challenges is security product consolidation. and Gartner recommending enterprise organizations to look into how they can consolidate their security products into a vendor who can provide as much as they can an end-to-end solution or a platform that can help and protect their security postures or security environments specifically related to endpoints. So as you can see here, there are different stages or era of protecting the endpoint. Starting with an antivirus or anti-malware solutions, which is relying completely on a signature based. This means that need to update the definitions or the signatures in order to be up to date. And then starting to provide not only an antivirus and anti-malware capabilities, providing an entire end-to-end endpoint protection and platform by having an application control, sandboxing, device control, having HIPS, DLP, AMM, firewall, etc. And then moving from an endpoint protection platform to an advanced endpoint protection, which is called AEP, which is pretty much adding on top of the just the signature based, providing a set of a sandboxing, detonation, and behavioral monitoring in terms of applications or data and memory protection. And moving from a complete pre-breach coverage and scenario to add an entire triage layer against post-breach and recovery. And hence there is a endpoint detection and response, the EDR game came to the picture. And moving from the endpoint to an EDR, providing a full playbooks and automation layer, acting as a virtual analyst that can do automated investigation in addition to doing a triage and incident response capability, which is part from the AIR automated investigation and incident response as a SOAR engine. And for sure, providing a layer for managed detection and response. Because for a single reason, what might happen that even all of the old capabilities and AI and machine learning that backed by your current solution that assume to protect your endpoint might miss a set of detection. So how the security vendors can provide a native managed detection response capability on a 24/7 to always being up to date in terms of missing any indicators of attacks or a detection or a suspicious activity, and how we'll be able to mitigate such kind of risk and address it. So as you can see here in the middle, there are multiple different layers of an endpoint security platforms. APPs, advanced, which is represents the next generation of protection, endpoint detection response, having a threat and vulnerability management module as a built-in engine, backed by a full layer of automation for investigation or incident response, application device control, attack surface reductions covering different layers, SOAR capability, managed detection and response, and for sure backed by a threat intelligence feeds and indicators. So as you can see, it might be tough for having a unified solution that can provide all of these capabilities natively, and not only just providing, if you do remember about the XDR session, this is one of the main underlying products or workloads. Full integrations and correlations across the other stack related to your identity, cloud applications, data, emails, etc. And it's not only an endpoint. So how we can help and how Microsoft Secure Solutions can help you to provide a unified endpoint security platform, which is a completely agnostic platform, which means covering Windows, client or server, macOS, Linux, even mobile for iOS and Android natively. In addition to covering an agnostic domain, it doesn't matter if you are protecting or securing your endpoints, which are managed assets, or even having a discovery for unmanaged and networked devices, because we need to address the risk if we have another unmanaged machines which are not protected and secured by our sensor, which is the Defender for Endpoint sensor. We need to have a visibility, we need to have a complete assessment in terms of vulnerability and the risk and how to mitigate it and address it. So today we're going to show you into details what are the main modules of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And for sure, we're going to end up with having a live demonstration and showing you the entire and whole capabilities. From starting of the deployment and onboarding process, up to the functionality, up to how you as a SOC team, as an analyst, you can use this console and solution on a daily basis. So we're going to address key specific modules here. One we're calling the TVM, the Threat and Vulnerability Management. We're going to discuss into details about the Attack Surface Reduction Rules, the ASR protection, next generation of protection, the EDR detection, Endpoint Detection and Response capabilities, from a triage, response, actions, investigations, hunting, analysis, threat analytics, etc. We'll cover about the automation piece, the AIR capability in terms of investigation and remediation. And we're going to show you more capabilities and features about the Managed Detection and Response Service, which is what we're calling MTE, Microsoft Threat Experts. But before we're going to go into details and drill down one by one, it's really important to highlight that Microsoft Defender for Endpoint as a unified endpoint security solution is actually scoring top results in industry tests. So you're going to see, we're going to show you the links. It's a public links and information, reports coming from AV tests, AV comparatives, MITRE ATT&CK for different techniques for the APT 29 or 309, SC Labs, in addition to the recent Gartner published Magic Quadrant, which is highlighting that Microsoft Solutions or Defender for Endpoint is a top security leader in the market. So the idea is not just providing a unified platform that's covering different set of categories and integrating into the XDR platform from Microsoft to provide a holistic and a deep optics across the entire organization covering devices, identity, data, applications, emails, cloud apps, etc., and infrastructure. But most importantly, not just to having the best solutions in terms of capabilities and features as a best in breadth, but best in depth as well, in order to show you that this solution is scoring the top leaders and top scoring across the industry tests. And now, we would be able to go into details and showing you all of the entire capabilities one by one. But it's really important to highlight as well, not just from a security or technical features and capabilities that Defender for Endpoint will help you to improve your security postures and to protect and reduce the risk of having a data breach in your organization. It's really important to highlight the ROI study that has been provided by Forrester on Defender for Endpoint. You'll be able to access the entire ROI report. You'll be able to see more details how Defender for Endpoint can save money on a yearly basis for your organization, because it's a consolidated endpoint unified platform comparing to other multiple different security solutions that you might use to address the entire security posture for your endpoints. And now let's start to take it one by one. We can address every single module, and we're going to end up by having a live demonstration about the entire capabilities and feature set. Really important to highlight and worth that the entire solution having a centralized single pane of glass dashboard and providing a full reach set of an APIs that you as a SOC team, you can use it in order to integrate either providing actions, response, investigations, or further forensics. So there is an entire API schema set providing for the Defender for Endpoint that SOC teams, they'll be able to leverage it and invoke it. So let's start by the first module, which is a TVM, Threat and Vulnerability Management. There are amazing vulnerability management solutions in the market. But the point is how to have a built-in entire set of a TVM engine without the need to install an agent as an agent list, leveraging the same sensors or even the same agent of the entire solution for your endpoint. We don't need to install a different agent. We don't need to set up or install a separate sensor in order to having a visibility and scanning for the assets against vulnerability. And it doesn't matter if it's a first native party application or a third party. And most importantly, how to provide a mitigation plan by having a remediation access by creating a remediation task item and work item that it can remediate and address such kind of CVEs that's being discovered. So the whole idea of having a threat and vulnerability management engine inside the same Defender for Endpoint sensor is how to improve your operating system hygiene and environment and your security baseline. And if you're starting to look at the slides here, there are 3 different main stages for the built-in threat and vulnerability management module in Defender for Endpoint. And remember, I'm going to show to you live the entire capabilities today. The main 3 stages is how to provide a real continuous discovery and discovery for the vulnerabilities related to applications or even related to your security configurations. So TVM in Defender for Endpoint, not only covering a kind of vulnerabilities and CVEs for any kind of an applications, it doesn't matter if it's a first native or a third party, but most importantly as well, start to assess and provide discovery and recommendation for the current set of security configuration in your console, which is really important because you might have a vulnerability or an adversary or an APT or an outbreak that might be happening in a specific industry or a country worldwide. And this specific industry, to mitigate it, it requires to enable a policy or a rule or a security configuration in your console, and how Defender for Endpoint with the leverage of the built-in TVM will be able to address such kind of a configuration miss. And for sure, providing a continuous discovery and monitoring for your endpoints, and the whole idea how you can gain immediate situational awareness about what's happening in my organization. And since we provide a continuous discovery, I just need to prioritize and just bulk and put all of the discovered vulnerabilities into a console. I need to have a smart contextual awareness prioritization module. And here's we're going to the second stage, which is calling the prioritization or the priority. How by finding all of the data and the vulnerabilities, how the solution enrich the set of indicators by different TI sources on the backend, and provide a business contextual data and telling you here is the top severities, the high, the medium, the low vulnerabilities, and here is your exposure score as an entire organization, that you have a set of multiple vulnerabilities, targeting configuration, targeting applications and softwares in your organization, your endpoints. And here there is a estimated exposure score rate across application, operating system, network, accounts, which is identities and security controls, all of these components or layers, the top 5, and providing a set of priority and sharing with you the top security recommendations in the main console or dashboard that I'll show you live shortly, to set the focus on and starting with the top bits and top items that you need to address to take an action. And since we're providing a continuous discovery and set a prioritization as well into the top security recommendations and discovery items, it's an important to how to mitigate such kind of vulnerabilities. And hence, Threat and Vulnerability Management TVM in Defender for Endpoint provide a surgical mitigation and automated fix via integration with Microsoft Endpoint Manager MEM, and how security admins, they can trigger a remediation task, and how this automated task monitoring will be able to be patched automatically on as a deployment stats. And you will be able to see the stats of the remediation item, it's being successfully remediated or patched or not, or it's still pending actions. So as you can see, this is what we're calling this threat and vulnerability management, which is a built-in. You don't need to go to third-party vulnerability management solutions. You have a continuous built-in agentless capability coming out of the box with the Defender for Endpoint sensors that you can use and leverage. And most importantly, I don't want to have a third-party solution to look at the vulnerability and even doing mitigation. And then I need to integrate with using the APIs or any form of an integration with my EDR or my endpoint secured solution in order to provide a visibility into these CVEs. Here is a one end-to-end integrated. There is no need to do any integration. It's a built-in, it's a seamless, all of the discovery vulnerabilities that has been addressed is being generated under the same scheme database of your endpoint security for Defender for Endpoint. And next, one of the most key capabilities for having a HIPS platform is providing an attack surface reduction. And as you can see that you can creating a different rules, a predefined out-of-the-box rules that security teams can enable it into different modes, into an audit mode for monitoring and learning, or even into a protection or a protect mode for taking an action. In addition to different layers, I would like to whitelist a specific application, a built-in application control engine. I need to have a device control to allow read or write access to USBs, removable disk, Bluetooth controls, storage media, etc. based on a read permission, write permission, or both for a specific user or specific devices across different assets. I'm looking to create a different firewall profiles in a private, in a public, or even in a custom one for my organization by providing a network firewall engine and module. In addition to the hardware-based isolation, how if someone is starting to open a browser and starting to open like a suspicious link that might drop like a backdoor or a payload, which might be 0 day in your host or your machine, how to provide a hardware-based isolations and segregate between the browser and your host and your hardware as a manufacturer, as a built-in. In addition to providing a complete web protections features, how you can add a set of URLs, website categories that can be blocked automatically based on specific rules that can be added by the security admin. In addition to a network protection layer, providing a network protection feature to avoid the cases that might extend to multiple machines inside the same network or different subnet network mask. So as you can see, ASR attack surface reduction as a module is not only providing as an HIPS, it's providing more features, layers, and rules like application control, web protections, network protection, device control, firewalls, hardware-based isolation, and last but not least, a specific feature set we're calling CFA control folder access that we designed specifically to protect and fight ransomware. If someone is trying to encrypt a directory of files into your endpoint, how will be able to have another layer of protections on top of it for the permissions, for the encryptions, for protection rights, which is what we're calling CFA. And as you can see on the right side, it's showing you different feature set and rules that you can configure across the ASR module. So right now we highlighted the features and capabilities about having a threat and vulnerability management module, attack surface reduction capabilities. Let's share with you and shed the lights into the key next generation protections, the NGP into Defender for Endpoint. And there are different layers. As you can see here that Defender for Endpoint, the Defender AV, the antivirus and anti-malware engine and sensors, they are not only providing capabilities and relying on the cloud, they are relying on the cloud in order to enrich the sandboxing and detonation capabilities from an IP and URL protections and reputation, sandboxing, threat intelligence feeds and indicators coming from the Microsoft Security Intelligence Graph, the IG, machine learning models and AI capabilities. But it's really important to highlight that even the Defender AV engine inside the Defender for Endpoint platform is actually provide an offline capability going to the client. So you have a protection and prevention engine at offline mode on the client level, or even during connecting to your cloud for enriching set of an indicators and TI. So you can see that providing an antivirus capability, web protections, ML, even as a cache in your client, in addition to emulator as a runtime, script for the memory attack, all of these high level set of capabilities, they are embedded inside the same sensors of your AV for Defender for Endpoint and can protect and provide capabilities for offline as well as online or hybrid capabilities as well. For 0 days, fileless, polymorphic threats, ransomwares, memory exploits, malicious websites, scams, and more. So as you can see, the main key advantages is a high level of having a built-in set of sensors inside your engine of an agent. It's always kind of an up-to-date. You don't need to worry even on the AV layer of the indicator of compromise that I need to update about the definitions. I need to update a specific version. I don't need to go from a version X to version X.1 or .2 in order to get a feature set and capabilities. No installations. It means it's a built-in with the latest set of operating system, 10, 2019, etc. And even for the legacy-based, which is we do support as well, you're having a light agent and sensor that can be installed seamlessly, which is I'll show to you the entire capabilities live. A complete centric design, and most importantly, I don't need to have a sensor or an agent in my box on my machines, which will kill the entire performance. I don't need to compromise the performance, as well as I don't want to compromise security and triage capability. So I'm providing both layers of equation. Having a better performance set as a built-in, or even with the light agents, or even with the other X-Plat or non-Microsoft, or the down level or legacy system, we are providing a light capabilities considering performance optimization as well as entire feature set. Versus having a bolted on solutions, it can be one, it can be multiple, covering different categories as I explained to you at the beginning of the session. And then when I'm starting to click and having another deep layer inside what exactly happening inside the client or even on the cloud level. Remember that even the Defender for Endpoint is providing capabilities on offline mode on your client and not only leveraging the cloud to enrich the threat intelligence that feeds the indicator set as well as the ML layer. So I can start to look at the inside the client, the sensors that's being sideloaded or onboarded or deployed in your machine. This providing different set of capabilities, having heuristics for catching new variants, strings and strains that's having similar characteristics or lookalike, providing even a behavioral monitoring at your client level, which can be an offline mode, for identifying malicious behavior, runtime sequence and executions, having a built-in emulation for evaluate the files and how it will behave in terms of run and executions on your client, set of MLs, models, memory scanning, the ASR roles and blocks that I shared with you before, a interface, the anti-malware system interface for integration for detecting fileless and zero-day memory attacks, in addition to a network memories and monitoring layer for network activities. All of these built-in sensors. It's coming under the same engine for having Defender for Endpoint. And guess what? It's running on your client level. It doesn't matter, it's an offline, it's a connected, it's an online. So you have a protection into different stages or different modes. Even covering for an air-gapped environment, you have the protections and capabilities across the different layer. And for sure, leveraging the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, leveraging the Microsoft Threat Intelligence and Cloud, we are enriching the detections and triaging and visibility in terms of repetitions, in terms of rules, in terms of an ML covering behavior-based or even detonation, classifications for the data and the file and the metadata across the entire sets. And for sure, providing the TI capabilities and indicators that's coming from the Microsoft Security Intelligence Graph. So as we see here, but what exactly happening at the pipeline in terms of protection and how we are saying that Microsoft Defender for Endpoint is actually having one of the main module as a NGP, next generation protection. So as you can see here in the pipeline, that there might be different sets of malwares or encounters. We're creating the malware encounter even on the client. So even on the client level, running all of the feature sets that I showed you in the previous slide from heuristics, behavior, ML, emulations that's happening there, reducing the encounters. And then we're enriching this one with the cloud metadata on the cloud for providing more cloud rules. And then having a kind of a sample for analyzing the metadata and the sample for the files or the document for deep analysis and deep sandboxing. Providing a set of detonation into the suspicious and triggered kind of files, executables, PEs during the sandbox or detonation champ. for the main reason of observable and dynamic analysis, and then leveraging the set of the big data and the TI module and threat intelligence to be applied across such kind of malware encounters. So as you can see, the entire protection pipeline that's happening and coming to your environment by leveraging Defender for endpoints. But that's not enough. Protecting the operating system, it's really important. And as we said, it's an agnostic platform, whatever, Windows client, Mac server, Linux, mobile, iOS, and Android. But it's really important to have a deep layer into the hardware and the firmware protection, because there is a lot of different attacks happening on the supply chain, which is we all know. Someone is triggering like a supply chain attack, rootkits, INF driver injections on the firmware level, whatever running, BIOS, UEFI, etc. So having a unified solution that's not only covering the clients from an OS point of view as a software, but extending the protection to the firmware and hardware layer, this is coming natively with Defender for endpoint. So with the UEFI scanner coming with your manufacturers on the firmware layer, with a firmware interface, UEFI anti-rootkit, having a built-in scanner for the UEFI that actually reaches to the SPI level for the peripheral interface, providing a full file system scanning and deep analysis into the firmware for the UEFI privileges by having a built-in engine and a scanner that's mainly designed to integrate at a runtime of your motherboard chipset. This will provide and perform a dynamic deep analysis into the firmware and hardware layer using multiple layer engines with your specific scanner. And as you can see on the right side here is a client interface showing that there is a threat has been found, and here is mean details. And we're going to go to the Defender for endpoint console, we'll be able to get more details about the specific alert. Why there is a UEFI sensor is being defined and has been detected. Someone is doing malicious code activity, enumerations that's happening as a rootkit inside the UEFI chip. Last but not least here on the next generation of protections. What will happen if someone he managed to get the permissions and starting to disable? What will happen if someone is starting to write like a malicious script or weaponize like a kind of a code, is trying to tamper or to disable or bypass? And we're seeing a lot of multiple cases happening with multiple solutions. Someone managed, even you have your secure solution as an agent, as a bolted on, and someone trying to tamper it and bypass the protection. And hence, Defender for endpoint comes with a built-in tamper protection features that even once you turn it on, any settings or configuration coming from a PowerShell, scripts, group policy setting, registry keys, etc. management tools, all of these will be ignored. And all of the detections will come as an alert or incidents into the security console. And analysts and SOC teams will be able to investigate and get more details into the alert story and the timeline. So you can see as well here that it's really important to highlight that even the Defender AntiVirus AV, which is coming under the Defender for endpoint, the AV engine itself, it's run on a complete secure sandbox mode. So as you can see here, I have my own machine. Here is the operating system. Here is the entire architecture. I have my own kernel. Here is the platform service layer, and here is the application tier layer. But what's really happened when you're starting to enable the Defender AV apart from your Defender for endpoint? It's actually running on a system containers as a Hyper-Vs. So any kind of an executions or applications that will happen, this is running in a complete secure sandbox mode environment and will not touch your entire host. And hence, we are actually protecting your host from being breached or from being compromised by having such kind of a built-in capabilities that you can enable apart from the virtualization-based security. So what we cover so far is we cover the TVM, the attack surface reduction, showing you the capabilities in terms of the next generation of protection. That's really amazing. These are providing a set of protection, prevention, but how about if you do have a post-breach or a post-incident? That might happen. How will be able to triage? how I'll be able to recover, to roll back, to automatic investigate and remediate by taking an action. And hence we'll go to the EDR, the Endpoint Detection and Response module, which is built in with the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint platform. Running on the client, running on the cloud. Running on the client in terms of providing a deep recording in the sensors of Defender for Endpoint for sharing and events, super timeline activities, and I'll show you live how it works, as well as reaching and enriching the cloud from an ML behavior anomaly detections, containments, deep analysis from a sandbox, providing a field research set in terms of an indicators, providing custom indicators related to an IPs, certificates, file hashes, URLs, etc. Complete advanced hunting module that analysts can write their own hunting query and even convert these hunting rules to a detection rules that can take an automated action based on a set or a frequency settings. Threat intelligence integration, providing a full reach set of an API, integration with multiple SIEM solution natively with Azure, Sentinel for Microsoft and other, providing a full integration with custom threat and cyber threat intelligence platform. You might have your own indicators and feeds coming from MISP, SciPox, exports, anomalies, threat intelligence, etc., or even built in-house or a grown. How will be able to import and integrate with such kind of threat intelligence feeds to provide an indicators and having a detection rules rather than running these IOCs to doing automatic matching. So you can see that with the endpoint detection and response capability that's coming, you're providing a full feature set for correlating alerts, investigating and hunting over even 6 months, 180 days of data. And you can extend by having a built-in data export storage features for Defender for Endpoint, in addition to full research action set. Here is a screen before we go into the live demo, showing you how we'll have a complete entire triage and investigation with the EDR capability of Defender for Endpoint and the full feature response capability and remediation. By isolate or quarantine a machine, restrict an application's executions, run the AV, collect an entire investigation package for further forensics coming on demand, block, stop, quarantine a file or a process, kill a process, having run a full automated investigation playbook, having a live response capability by having a command line interface connection to investigate the device at a real time without the need to ask the victim or the host or the user to sign out from his machine. Memory scanning, memory dump, full disk scanning to locate a specific malware. In addition to the advanced hunting capabilities and module, I would like to run against a behaviors, against an event, against an activity on the network for the user, for the machine, for the operating system, for specific applications or vulnerability or CVE, or even against a kind of an behaviors for an application itself. An entire built-in advanced hunting module that you can create your own hunting queries, you can correlate with multiple tables under the entire scheme, in addition to creating a detection rules for taking an automated actions. And in terms of the automation and investigation here, what is actually the auto-IR capability that's coming with Defender for Endpoint? Imagine you have a built-in virtual analyst that can exactly mimicking via a multiple set of a playbooks and runbooks, the analyst investigation and remediation cyber threat. It's not just a kind of a threat. I need to isolate or quarantine this machine from the network. It's more into having a deep virtual investigation and analysis into the machine based on the telemetry, the cyber data, and the logs, the events that has been correlated and detected. So you will be able with the auto-IR, which is coming built in to determine what are the main threats that require an actions, what are the performing events and logs and evidence that has been taken automatically based on the remediation capability of the auto-IR, in addition to providing the full collectors as a forensics and response on the client level, enriching with the cloud for historical data, orchestrations, AI-based in terms of playbooks, and more into reputation and sandboxing. If you look at here the screen, these are the main key points. Mimicking a virtual analyst by having an AR capability into your console, including not only the operating system, covering the memory as well as base attacks. And it works 24/7 in your tenant, in your console, without any limited capacity. And last but not least here, it's really important to back your unified endpoint security platform solution with a managed detection and response service. And hence, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint having what we're calling MTE, Microsoft Threat Experts. And Microsoft Threat Experts actually is providing two services. Target attack notification, which is 24/7 monitoring and getting the security events and data, adversaries, outbreaks, alerts from the Microsoft Threat Experts team, in addition to providing a feature and service for on-demand, we're calling experts on demand. I am an analyst in my organization. I would like to investigate something. I would like to consult a Microsoft Defender for Endpoint expert and security expert in order to help me to investigate and remediate such kind of a detected adversaries or campaigns with a complete analysis and feature set information. But now, let's have a demo and show it to you the entire capabilities, how it works in a few minutes. So now I'm signing into my console. And remember that you do have the security.microsoft.com, which is your unified console here. So if I go to my tenant, it's starting to open. Here is the one. Let me sign in here. All right. Sounds good. Approve it. The MFA. And here we go. So what you're going to see is at the beginning, remember there is a same console dashboard, the unified single pane of glass console that we showed you last time with the XDR session. And we do have a dedicated section even for endpoint. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to settings. And when I go to settings, I will be able to see there is an endpoint. When I go to endpoints, I will be able to look at something we're calling onboarding. And hence, I will select which kind of operating system. I need to onboard. I have a Windows 10, Windows 7, 8.1, Windows servers, Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android. Remember the agnostic platform? And every single step you will be able to see there are different options to doing the deployment at your preference. You might use like a local script, group policy, you're using an MDM solution from Microsoft as an Intune or MEM or a third party. You do have a virtualized environment or WVDs. It doesn't matter persistent or non-persistence. The solution is a complete agnostic platform and agnostic domain. Once you're starting to deploy your sensor or what we're calling onboarding process, you might be able to define your RBAC. I need to define a role-based access control based on a different tiers of analyst or an engineer or an IR that can control and have a visibility specific role into a specific collection of devices in my organization. Because the solution is mainly designed for multi-tenancy deployment and not only just a single tenancy. So you can see that I can creating different rules. And these rules, I can define which rules, assign it to which groups of user, and hence I can assign a collection of machines that have a different feature set of automation. I might have a specific machines like client or laptops. I need to have a full automated investigation and remediation response. And sometimes for some machines that might be server, I need full investigation, but in terms of taking an action and triage, I need my blessing and approval as a SOC team to approve it, because it might impact something as a sensitive device or a server. So you have the full capabilities and sets to define which security groups and which remediation actions that you need to assign based on a combination of a name, domain, operating system, or even a tags. And once you're starting to do your settings, you're going to see there is an advanced features and a multiple feature set and capabilities that I explained it to you in the slides. I need to enable automatic investigation, live response in clients or servers, going to endpoints, allow protection, create indicators, tamper protections, etc. Full integration with the Microsoft XDR stack out of the box with just a toggle button, you will enable it. Or you know what, I need to providing a full feature set of built-in reports in addition to integration with Power BI. Native integrations that you can extend the entire scheme to create any extended dashboards at your own convenience. Integration with your SIM or MSSPs, creating a custom indicators for an IPs or an hash. You can import it, and you can see for an IP URLs process, creating web content filtering that you can create a different categories based on URLs, automations, uploads, and much more custom details. So if you're starting to onboard my machines, once you're onboarding your machine, it's always on. You don't need to configure anything unless it's a policy or a configurations. And you can see here, I have a different set of machines. I have a Mac, I have a Linux, I have a Windows client, Windows server, I have an iOS and Android mobile, etc. And when you're starting to see, is it only endpoints? How about unmanaged assets? How about discovered machines in my environment or my network that might not be protected by the Defender for Endpoint sensors? And it's a good visibility to address such kind of a risk. So what I'm seeing here, let me pick a machine. I have a machine which is a PC. It can be Windows, Linux, Mac, mobile, as I showed you here. I'm seeing here is a device. Here is this machine is a domain join machine, is running Windows 10. It has a full automation capabilities being assigned. Here is the IP address. Show me the IP capabilities and history. Show me the entire resources, which directory, how many alerts has been triggered and correlated incident into this specific machine. Who are the main logged in users, etc. You know what? I would like to take a specific action immediately on the same machine, or I wanted to get more details. So when I started to click on open page details, I will be able to have a full details page of this device. Show me overview, how many alerts, how many incidents being correlated. Show me if this machine is having a vulnerability and exposure level related to the DVM. How many logged in user, most and frequent user, click on see all users, you'll be able to get the entire list and full information about it. What are the main alerts that has been triggered? Show me the entire super timeline events and activities happening on this box. So when I started to click on the timeline here, I'll be able to see a full timeline, super timeline events that I can search for a specific event using the date, showing entire details. So one of the interesting points to mention that for sure the solution is mapped to the MITRE tactics and techniques in terms of categories as well. And you can filter any kind of events, network, AV, EDR, device, schedule events, entire telemetry. So for example, when I search about like a kind of a PowerShell here, you will be able to see the entire filtering list of a PowerShell that has been showing into the timeline activities. I can click on any kind of an event. So for example, I'm clicking on this PowerShell event, and this is just an event. I'll get the entire details. Show me the event, who is the user, the context. Is there any PowerShell command has been running in this PowerShell? Show me the entire command. Show me all of the relative artifacts and data coming from any event into your timeline. But that's not enough. You can hunt any events out of the box, and you can create a detection rule with any event entity showing into your machine's timeline. I have the security recommendations. I have the software inventory. It doesn't matter if it's a Microsoft, non-Microsoft, first party and third party. You have the discovered vulnerabilities and missing. And remember, we are just looking into a single scope of a specific machine. You have a unified dashboard across the entire and global view. I need to take an action. I need to isolate this machine from the network. I need to run the AV. Or you know what? I need to collect an investigation package or having a live session. So when I'm starting to trigger the live session response, which is you can see it here, what will happen is Defender for Endpoint is actually creating like a live session for you, for your SOC team. They will be able to address. So here I'll be able to see the entire commands, basic or advanced, that I can run it seamlessly inside the machine. Or you know what? We as a SOC team, we might have our own script or a custom investigation or forensic package. I need to run it. So I'll be able to go and upload it to the library in Defender for Endpoint, and you will be able to see here is the entire library that I'm using my command. And what I'm gonna do is I'll just need to put any kind of a file following the command to run it on a temporary location as a real time. So here is, for example, here is the kind I need to put example.PowerShell script. And once it's starting to run it and execute, you will be able to run any kind of a script or command directly using the live response. And once you're starting to run it, you can disconnect the sessions or keep it. It will be disconnected, and you can go back to your machine. So what you're going to see here, I'm just showing you if I go to one of the alerts, and all of the response actions and capabilities that I showed you in the slide. You can have it. You can create a virtual machine. You can have a complete investigation package, trigger investigations happening, having an action center to seize alive, or I click on any of the alerts. So if I open one of the alerts like suspicious PowerShell command line, Defender for Endpoint will show you entire alert story. Here is a machine. Here is the user who is accessing this machine. Here is the entire alert story coming from this alert. So I'm seeing that there is a Win services SV host protocols. There is a Word document. And once I open this Word document, has been detected by a kind of a script. And here is a script embedded as a macro in this Word document. It's triggering a PowerShell. What is exactly this PowerShell command line? So you're getting the source, the destination, every single entity or artifacts or files. You're getting the full intelligence about the detections happening from Defender for Endpoint, any correlated alerts, privileges, observe it in your organization and worldwide. So you have an entire full set of the entire alert story. Who is this alert? Who is this PowerShell coming from which document? And this document, what's happening? It's starting by a Word document and that have a macro script. And this dropped a kind of a PowerShell. I'm getting the entire PowerShell. And this PowerShell dropped like a payload or a PE backdoor, which is called WinATP intro backdoor.exe that's being saved into the C. I have the entire, inside this specific backdoor, there is detected anomaly. Number one is creating like a kind of a registry key to auto start automatically, creating a PowerShell during a suspicious file, and dropping a file in terms of a 0-day might be malware or ransomware. So here in the alert story, you are getting the entire details about what's exactly happening related to your endpoints, related to even to the identity. So every single entity or an item, you have the full description details and the entire timeline series into a very nice interactive domain. But most importantly, that's just a one alert that you can see it coming from this specific machine. If you go to the alert again, and if you click here, you have multiple alerts triggering for this machine. We might not have the time as an analyst to investigate alert by alert. How Defender for Endpoint is actually correlating this alert and generating an incident for you. And at any time for any alerts, you as an analyst, you can even link a specific alert or incidents for correlation. You can see the entire timeline event on this specific machine when has been triggered. And you will see that actually Defender for Endpoint generating a correlated incident for you. And it's showing you this alert has been correlated into an incident. So when you're starting to click into the incident, you will be able to see the full entire end-to-end graph based on a MITRE attack, showing that how many alerts has been detected, how many alerts coming from this specific machine. Here is the device that I'm showing you about this device. So we have 14 alerts coming from this machine. Who are the user? Is there any impacted? If you look at the entire XDR about mailbox, show me the entire investigation and the evidence. And if I click on the investigation, Defender for Endpoint with the AIR capability, showing you an entire investigation graph, showing you here is a machine, 4,000 plus entities has been automatically investigated and analyzed by you, by the solution. How many alerts? Show me the devices, show me the entire evidence, and most importantly, show me the entire entities, this 4,000 plus across files, processes, IPs, miscellaneous IP network, etc. And the actions that has been taken automatically, because the admin, he configured that this machine is part of from a collection of devices that have a full automatic remediation capability. So here what's happening is I'm showing you the entire device. If I go to the vulnerability engine in 5 minutes, here's a full complete set dashboard of the TVM. Show me the exposure score, top security recommendations across a specific collection of machines. Why we're scoring like a kind of 49% out of 100? I need to improve my scoring. And how to improve my scoring? Defender for Endpoint giving you the entire information. These are the top security recommendations that we recommend based on the address priorities and vulnerabilities. Update your WinRAR to version X. Click on it. I want to get more details information. I'm getting the information about the software, the vulnerability, related threats and adversaries that's happening. Show me the exposure devices. How many installed machines? Show me the associated CVEs. You know what? I need to take an action. I can click on remediate here, or I can go back to the security inventory recommendations. I can click on any specific vulnerability. I can move this one to take a remediation and to mitigate it. In addition to the entire TVM for weakness software inventories event timeline to have a complete timeline analysis across the entire vulnerabilities in your organization. In addition to the integration with the APIs. So we said that you have integration out of the box with partners, software inventory, showing you most important about the full feature set of an API Explorer. In addition to that, you can export raw data using and streaming built-in APIs. Because all of the data that you have, you can investigate as an advanced hunting. You have the entire feature set of your endpoints. I can investigate or hunt data related to device, network process, network file events, applications, vulnerabilities, data, or even a behavior. And I can easily, when I go to show me the device network events, and let me take X number of devices network events for the last 7 days, or you can change it here. What you're going to see is the full feature details about the networks. So I wanted to see if there is any device network events where action type is actually being connection is succeeded. You can select it from here, or you can even amend the query. So once you see it, let me see if there is anything that is SUCCSS. Let me check the spelling here. So if I can add this one and showing as a right. Here is the one which is called connection success. Here, and then starting to remove the line, hit the run query, you will be able to see all of the successful connection that's happening in our network for the last 7 days. You can make it in adjust the lifetime here, or even make it for a count of a month or something. And once you started to execute what's really important to you, I can create a kind of a detection rules. And what do we mean by detection rules? If you can see the example here, that if I go to new and starting to open any of the detection rules, I can create any kind of a rule to create it to be as a detections. It means that I don't need to run it manually next time on demand. I need to create a rule that once I'm starting to edit the rule, I can set the frequency that my rule will be able to run every hour, every day, check the severity, and what actions that can be taken on the device, on the email, on the user, if related to the XDR. So you can create a hunting rule converted to a detection, and converting a detection rule to be as actually created as a kind of a frequency settings. So what's happening now is we are sharing with MDE complete triage, AV functionality, feature set, configuration management, so you can configure any policy. Not only just to applying the rules, I can create in here, I can configure like an AV policy, EDR policy, configurations, firewall, application control, device control settings, everything fully integrated with the MEM Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So as you can show you here is a full set. I can go to endpoint security. I can just click on creating a profile rules. And is it an antivirus? Is it an EDR? Is it an ASR, attack surface reduction? Once you create on the policy, you will be able to see it here applied to which kind of assignment of machines or collections. Is it related to an AV? And which kind of an AV features? I can open it and get more details about the AV policy. Click on the properties, assign any kind of features and capabilities here targeting which operating system, assign it to the collection of machines, and that's it. So as you can see here, what we did with this live demo is actually with Defender for Endpoint. It's not only will help you to have a consolidated end-to-end security endpoint platform that can help you to offload and optimize any performance issues or integrations by an end-to-end security layer without the need to have multiple security products and vendors. But most important as well, you are connected the entire stakeholders and personas. So right now you have a full visibility into even probability or patching that can be applied. System configurations, the IR capabilities as a SOC and an analyst team for vulnerability, for triaging as an EDR or AV, for incident response or forensic or integration with third-party security solutions or a SIM, defining a security policies and settings and vulnerabilities. That's the real deal of having a real technical unified endpoint platform with Defender for Endpoint. We highly recommend you to start the trial or enable it Reach out, please, if you do have any further questions, technical. We're more than happy to answer it or clarify to you. With that, thank you so much for your time, and back to you, Hussein.
Thank you, Hisham, for today's session. And we are over time, so we are actually allocating more time next week to turn this into a Teams meeting where we will have more interesting conversations and listen from you live. Any questions or feedback or challenges that you're facing. So there will be some exciting chance for you next week. Don't miss the session. Make sure you RSVP. I'm going to drop the link in the chat in case you have not yet registered. And make sure that you allocate like a minute or two to give us your feedback on the topic that you'd like, the topics that you would like to see at the reactors. Use the event code that is linked to today's session on the survey link. That you can find on the Q&A tab. I put it as an announcement. And also, as you know, we're recording all of these live sessions and posting them on YouTube for you to be able to watch at any time. So this one will be also available very soon on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed and part of the YouTube channel. And we are sending a monthly curated newsletter where we highlight some of the key events and series that are happening across the reactors. You can be part of this newsletter by signing up on the Reactor email sign up. That's the last link here. And I also put that in the Q&A tab. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and please don't miss next week's session. We're excited to have you and to listen to all the conversations and questions you might have around this series and the security series that we've been doing so far. Thank you, Hisham, again, and we'll see you next week.